right, cool.
Okay.
Cool. Well, all right, that's the active side of things.
Mhm.
And you guys are very, very heavily into the rental portfolio. I mean, and that's truly how we got connected, is I
Mhm.
find investors that are coming to me for funding, but they're also seeking somebody to help them identify assets, especially in today's climate. Everything has gone off market. And you guys are big on the passive investing side. You were preaching that. We spoke about that a little earlier,
Mhm.
right? To where you're buying the rentals and then you get into the flip side of things. So
Mhm.
from a passive standpoint, I guess there are, one of the questions that I had, and I want to just take a look at my notes here. The question every investor wants to know: how do you make your money work for you? That's what we all want to know.
Yep.
How do we make our money work for you, and building that rental portfolio? So over the course of the 15 years of all the investors you've seen, what are perhaps maybe the three areas of focus that an investor has to look at to start building their rental portfolio?
Education. Education being the number one. They need to know exactly, they need to educate themselves on the areas they're going to invest.
Specifically, what do they got to start looking into now? Is that, I want to go find a rental property. What should I be concerned about? We hear about the market cycles. We hear about a number of those factors, right, that come into play. I don't know a lot about that. I'm not an economist. How do I find and identify this information that's going to make sure that I make a sound investment?
Like I said, education, educating yourself, doing your research. If you're a person that need assistance, it's something that you don't want to do solo, because it's going to take you so much education. And by the way, there's so much education for free in the internet. I wouldn't pay a guru or pay nobody a penny. Well, definitely first get as much as I can, and then perhaps if I want to go to the next level, get a mentor or something like that. But if you're a person that you don't want to get involved, you want things to be done for you, then you search for that ideal team. The team that has the experience, that has a proven model, that has clients, testimonials. Do your research. Find the ideal acquisition company, get the ideal rehab company, and the ideal property management company. You do that by just doing your research, calling and finding out. Calling the company's clients. Saying, okay, how's your experience with Jorge? How's your experience with the acquisition company? How's your experience managing these properties? What is the percentage of vacancy of the stuff you're managing? And then the same with the GC, what experience, show me pictures, show me before and after. Do a lot of due diligence. You have a lot of investors that come with us, and it's crazy, Sam. They just say, here's 200,000, 300,000 without knowing us. We have a lot of testimonials online and stuff like that, but if we wanted to be the bad guys, we could easily do it. So I think that would be my best advice.
I think one of the ones that you mentioned, it's the easiest one that I would recommend everyone, and it's having a mentor. I think don't be greedy. If you have to start with a joint venture with someone, that hey, he makes 80%, you make 20%. That's 20% that you didn't have before, okay? And the experience of going through that process, it's invaluable. So if you ask me, someone that wants to start today, it's find that mentor, find that person that is doing it.
And that mentor, by the way, sorry to interrupt you, could be your bank. Could be your bank. Could be your acquisition
Find
company.
that person that is doing it and is doing what you think you want to do, because one thing is what you think you want to do versus the reality of it. And ask them. You'll be surprised how many times if you ask one of these mentors, hey, no, I just want to learn from you, they'll say, yeah, and again, don't be afraid to do a joint venture, JV, where there's a split of commissions. Maybe you put the funds, and we have those.
We have done that.
We have done that for several investors, where we say, you know what, you put the funds, we'll find the property, we will manage the rehab, we will find you the property manager, and then we'll split it at the end. So I think if you ask me, hey, what is the one way to start? I will start that way, because you will learn from the experience. In 1 year with Greystone, I have learned so much about real estate.
I'm so proud.
Yeah, it's because I sat down with this guy and just like a sponge, starting, and to his point, you can go online, that's great, but I would say once you get that information online, because you need to get something, find that one person that you think it's doing successfully what you're looking for, and just ask to be, a mentee. Once you do that, then you can have that real life experience, and hey, maybe the second, third deal you do it by yourself, and you'll be surprised. Some mentors, you say, you know what? Yes, do the deal. Now I help you with, some of the funds so that you do the deal, and now they have like salesperson out there. That's the way a mentor may see it. So that I would say that will be the first step. The other one, it is what it is. You have to save some money. Right now, to be able to have access to some of these off-market deals, I would say you have to probably at least have at least 50, liquid. You have financing
50,000 liquid.
50,000 liquid.
Okay.
You have financing partners, all that kind of stuff. But even from a financing partner perspective, and you can correct me, if I know that you have some funds, that you have the discipline to save some funds, and you have some skin in the game, as a financing partner, I go, okay, I don't want to completely do it myself. I want to make sure that you have something in it. So find that mentor, and again, start planning now, start saving, and that can be, in IRAs, because you can do a self-directed IRA, investment, where you use the IRA, funds to, fund some of these deals. Whatever it is, you need to have something. We've had people call and say, hey, I have $2,000-$3,000. I want to start investing in real estate. There's a great Honda Civic '94 that you can buy with those $2,000. So you need to save some. You have to have that plan. But then once you have that plan, get online, get some education, find that mentor, and I think that's the best
And like I
path.
said, the mentor could be HIS.
Yes,
HIS,
absolutely.
for sure.
Guys, when you talk about that, right, we've got enough misinformation and disinformation all over the internet.
Mhm.
So when we've got new individuals that are coming in, you say it's find a mentor. Well, I can look up online and see 1,000 people that look phenomenal to me, right? Because I don't know any better. So what are some critical factors? Because we also have investors that are looking at, I just want to buy the cash flow. I don't care about equity. I
Mhm.
want my cash flow in here too. So
Right.
now I don't know what to look for. I just want my money to work for me. So, walk me through this as you're trying to navigate through the misinformation, and as well as how do you guide somebody into saying, if you just want cash flow, is this the right deal for this person? Or if I'm looking at the overall perspective, right, I want to buy it at least under market value as well as get my cash flow too. You're going to see that dynamic, I'm sure, almost every
Absolutely.
day. How do you steer your clients and prospects down that path?
I think it's like what I tell investors, you can't have the cake and eat it too. You have to have one or the other. And you want the mutual fund or you want the low cap stock. If you want the mutual fund, then you want your rental. You're not gonna have a lot of equity. Settle with the cash flow. That's what you're looking for. Settle with the cash flow. The equity is just the icing on the cake, and vice versa. And we have clients all the time that come to us. I want the equity and I want the cash flow. See ya. Which one is the most important for you? And then we go over it over and over again and say, you don't have the equity today, you might have the equity tomorrow, but what is your focus? And that's what you're focusing on. When Rafi talks about mentoring, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm talking about physical people. To me, when I think about mentor, is somebody local, somebody you know, somebody
Absolutely.
title company. Sam will be mentor. Somebody that's willing to join on a deal with you, not some guru you pay money to.
Unfortunately, the internet, you can find anything
With
there.
testimonials, people that
But
have actually.
yeah, mentor. I want someone that I can sit down at
That's
Starbucks.
doing it.
Yeah,
Somebody that's doing
someone at
it.
Starbucks that I can sit down, talk about it. And not only that he's doing it, that he's doing it in your market, because
Right.
wholesaling in Tampa is different than wholesaling in San Francisco.
Absolutely.
So if I see this guy on the internet that is based out of San Francisco making millions, great, good for you. But I'm in Tampa. How wholesaling in San Francisco translates to wholesaling in Tampa? Probably not much. When you pay $750,000 for a studio,
Sure.
in San
Sure.
Francisco, and for that you get a, oceanfront, mansion, in Tampa. So mentor has to be someone local, and again, you can use the internet to find that person, maybe go to one of the seminars or something like that if they're doing it, or to Jorge's point, ask people, hey, have you done business with this guy? But mentor, I'm talking about that Starbucks mentor. The guy is like, hey, let's meet for coffee and let's talk about things, and use the internet to make sure that you understand some of the terminology. Because you need to get educated. There has to be an investment in you, in terms of education, in terms of learning what is a BPO versus an appraisal, right? Little things that you can do in the internet, but that mentor should be definitely local, someone that you can, grab and that is working in your market, right? And again, if your market is going to be Puerto Rico, then find someone's doing it there because it's very, very different. So you're in Tampa, but you want to invest in Puerto Rico, great. Find the mentor in Puerto Rico, or find someone that is in Tampa that is investing in Puerto Rico, even better, right? But you need to find, that person because yes, the online, the Wild Wild West, and you can find some great information, and at the same time you can find information that completely has no clue
people
that
have
what we
never
have.
done a deal
Right.
in your local area at all, not
Mhm.
once.
Mhm.
They're experts, but they've never done a deal in
Right,
downtown.
right.
It's like what?
So as you guys encounter this every day, right, and you got people knocking on your door, help me find a property, help me do this, help me do that. What are the key areas that frustrate you the most in that process, right? I'm John Q. Public, the investor calling. We all have it, right? On the lending side, I get tasked very often with it's okay, who am I dealing with here? Let me try to break this down as best as I can and know that they're not cut out for this.
Right.
And yet they may have the capital, and that's also an integrity type of scenario here. Am
Absolutely.
I just taking the money to do a deal?
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, so what are some of the areas that really disrupt you the most with a passive investor coming to you?
What struck me is when they think I'm Tom Cruise and I'm in a Mission Impossible movie. That's what it is, the hardest part. And I tell them all the time, but that's why we have a process where we do a client evaluation, kind of like testing the client to see where the level of knowledge is. And if it actually doesn't meet our minimum standard, we send them back to more education and say, once you get here, call us. Because people have this conception, because all they know are realtors. They think that, okay, we're gonna show you 375 houses. We're gonna drive you around to 375 homes. And by the way, if the house is blue, we'll paint it red. They have this conception that wholesaling or hedge fund companies, or however you wanna call us, we are gonna be focusing on what the property looks like, or if the client likes the curb appeal and things like that. It's all about the numbers. So making sure when we do that questionnaire, it's like, okay, how many rooms are you looking for? What type of location are you looking for? We throw them a curveball and say, what if the house has carpet versus tile? Does that really matter? Well, it really doesn't matter because we could change that, but we test the client to see, and at the end we say, okay, knowledge of investor, how difficult is it gonna be to work with this person? Then level 2, all right, and then let me get back to the client. We sit down and say, okay, guys, do we have the time, effort, energy to take a client on level 1 or 2? Are we there? Yes, no? Typically we say no.
I
If
think
not, we try to help them with, the education as much as possible.
right.
But
Just
I
as
think it's
much qualifying
expectation.
for your time though too. I mean,
Right,
that's ultimately
right.
the biggest key.
Absolutely. And I think from my perspective, it's unrealistic expectations. Again, we have HGTV and we have these things, running all over, and then you have someone that says, "Hey, I have $50,000 dollars. I want to buy a $200,000 house, put $100,000 in rehab, so that we can sell it for $500,000."
Mhm.
Unrealistic, So, and that's where the education part comes into play. You need to educate yourself as to how much the market is growing. What are the market trends? Again, this is where a mentor comes into play and says, you know what? No, that's something that right now it's way out there. I'm not saying don't take risk, but take calculated risk. Manage your risk. I always say I love to take risks, no problem, but I manage my risk. So if I can minimize my risk as much as possible, I still have risk, but I prefer 1% risk than 99% risk, right?
Absolutely.
So how do you manage that risk to a level that it's within your comfort zone? But it's the unrealistic expectations, and that's where we spend the most time saying, okay, you won't find 20% cap rate, in this type of market. You won't find houses for 20,000 that sell for 200 in 6 months. You won't find that. So managing those expectations is probably our biggest challenge, when we start with
Okay.
investors.
One final thing on that, and I've got to know. Cap rates, different for every investor. right?
Absolutely.
But there's a minimum, right, that makes sense. Is that something that you're going to counsel these people on or not? Quick answer.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the minimum is very, very basic. You gotta look at what the checking account, savings account, what is the federal rate, is currently at. And what you're getting in your investment minus risk, everything else. It's gonna get to a point where it's like, okay, does it make sense? So you gotta have a minimum, and it's based on, depending on what type of investment you do, and if it's a $50,000 investment, it's X. If it's a $200,000 investment, it's Y. It depends. Somebody with $4 or $5 million
Okay.
will be okay with a 5% return. Somebody with 10,000 will want a 15% return.
Let me answer that very, very bluntly. There's no minimum cap rate. Each investor, based on his or her position and his or her goals, should have a different minimum cap rate.
Right.
If someone out there tells you, hey, you should never get a property that has less than 8% cap rate, well, guess what? If you get into commercial, 8% is unheard of.
Right.
So the answer is no. There's no minimum. You need to do your homework in terms of your goals and your current position, and then based on that, create that minimum for you. Find someone that helps you get to that minimum cap rate, and then go, okay, now that I know what is my minimum cap rate, which by the way may change next year because
Absolutely.
you hit the lotto and you have different expectations now, right? So you need to look at that cap rate, and then you need to recalibrate every year and saying, is that cap rate still valid and makes sense for where I am today? So the answer is no minimum cap rates.
So when an investor comes into town, how do they reach you guys? Where do they go?
You say it?
May I?
Of course.
They could always find us at homesforincome.com. That is homes, the number 4, income.com.
Jorge Vasquez, Rafi Castro. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
invite.
It's been an honor.
You're welcome.
Thank you.